Okay, I might have gone too deep on this one, but the Mountain Dew conspiracy is, you'll see. So apparently, every big marketing campaign they do for an upcoming new flavor coincides with a major world event, and it's never a good one. And the one they're dropping in 2025 might be a little concerning, because the names of their major flavors always seem to have a hidden message behind them. Take Mountain Dew Maui Burst, for example, which was released and preceded the wildfires we had in Maui back in 2023. Maui Burst. Which, by the way, those fires were also hella sketch to begin with, and a lot of rumors of foul play involved. Let me know if I should cover those some other time. Also, Mountain Dew, DEW, like direct energy weapons. You know, those lasers that shoot down from above and set things on fire. Okay, that part's a stretch, but these other flavors there's something else. Like Star Spangled Splash, which came out in 2024, the same year that bridge collapsed in Baltimore. You remember that? Where that container ship randomly crashed into a bridge and it just completely fell apart. Another kind of sketchy catastrophe. Well, the name of the bridge was the Francis Scott Key Bridge, named after the author of the American national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner, Star Spangled Splash. In 2001, Mountain Dew released their classic Code Red flavor, you know, like big emergency, all hands on deck type of disaster, and also happens to be the official hospital code for an active fire. Well, 3 months after this release, the most devastating event of US history occurred on the 11th day of the 9th month of the year, September. I don't think the algorithm likes that word. Of course, there were also many fires involved, ones that melted steel girders in perfect 45-degree angles, yet somehow left passports completely intact. The list goes on. I've got more flavors that'll blow your mind, and the one they're releasing this year might give us a glimpse of what's coming next. But why Mountain Dew of all drinks, the unofficial sports beverage of gamers and virgins? Well, the history of this drink is honestly just as shocking as what they used to put into Coca-Cola, if you know what I mean. Just have a look at the name, Mountain Dew. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably something like a scenic mountain landscape spotted with refreshing drops of morning dew, right? That's exactly what their marketing team today would want you to picture, because they wouldn't want you to know the real story. The drink was originally invented by two brothers, Barney and Ali Hartman, in 1940 as a tangy citrus soda in the same category as tonic water. And they created it because they wanted a better mixer for their whiskey. And it sure did the job. According to them, when they mixed their new drink with whiskey, the resulting flavor tasted like moonshine, which is bootleg alcohol typically distilled illegally, popularized during the Prohibition era when booze was banned for 13 years. In fact, it tasted so much like it, they decided to name their new drink Mountain Dew, which was a popular slang term for moonshine in the 40s. Yup, Mountain Dew was originally made for mixing with whiskey and is named after illegally distributed alcohol. Like, imagine 30 years from now, they release a grape flavored soda called Lean or Scissor. Despite its sketchy origins, Pepsi-Cola saw promise in the drink and bought the Mountain Dew brand in 1964, which largely expanded distribution across the United States and Canada. Pepsi still owns the drink today, and they've been involved in some pretty sketchy business themselves over the years, like the infamous Pepsi coup of Chile in 1970, where the chairman of Pepsi at the time worked with the head of the CIA to overthrow Chile's new socialist president. Yes, this actually happened. Apparently, this guy was a threat to the profits of Pepsi bottling factories in Chile, and so the company got involved and helped overthrow their government. Was this collab between Pepsi and the CIA the start of a much larger psyop that we see happening today? Because as the years went by, their marketing team continued releasing new flavors of the drink with some questionable names, like their popular Pitch Black flavor, which apparently coincided with the largest IT blackout ever back in 2024, the CrowdStrike outage. The one that affected 8.5 million Microsoft devices, with critical services and business operations being disrupted. Their Infinite Swirl flavor preceded the insane hurricane season that wouldn't end in Southeast America and featured multiple Category 5 hurricanes. Purple Thunder is another recent flavor that also happens to be the name of a classified anti-tank missile defense system experiment performed by the IDF over 22 years ago. The IDF, like the Israeli Defense Force. Is there a connection to something here? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. There's also the well-known Baja Blast, which was originally released in 2004, but we have seen bigger marketing pushes for it lately. Some tie it to the 2023 Ensenada shootout, which took the lives of 10 people in Baja, California, Mexico. Baja Blast? Yeah, okay, this one's kind of a stretch, I'll admit. But the newest flavor coming out in 2025 is Baja Midnight. And they're really pushing this one. It's almost kind of weird. Taco Bell hosted a full-ass press conference type event just to announce it, which will be exclusive to Taco Bell, but what could it possibly mean? Speculations are ranging anywhere from more global power outages and blackouts, like the Iberian Peninsula blackout we saw in Spain and Portugal at the end of April, to some big paranormal reveal, because, you know, midnight is so spooky. Or maybe even us hitting midnight on the doomsday doomsday clock, the one that scientists update every year telling us how close we are to nuclear apocalypse, midnight. It's currently sitting at 89 seconds, the closest we've ever been in history. Perhaps Baja Midnight is alluding to the clock striking 12. Does Mountain Dew really know what's coming next, or is this just a huge viral marketing campaign with some
This is the top 10 most unreal-looking natural phenomena that actually exist. 1. Ball lightning. A glowing orb of lightning that floats. Super rare. Super creepy. 2. Cloud wall. A giant cloud rolls like a wave. When you see it, a storm's close. 3. Mirage light bends and boom, a city or lake appears out of nowhere. 4. Rainbow clouds. Clouds turn rainbow when sunlight hits ice crystals just right. 5. Isolated rainfall. One tiny patch of rain, like the skies targeting just you. 6. Meteor shower. Tons of shooting stars in minutes. Fireworks, but cosmic. 7. Firefall. A waterfall glows like lava during sunset. It only lasts a few minutes. 8. Falling cloud. A cloud that sinks to the ground and crawls like fog. 9. Black sun cloud clouds, so thick they turn day into night, no filter. 10. Waterfall cloud. A cloud spills over a mountain like it's melting, wild to watch.
This is the most bizarre UFO encounter documented. In the summer of 1972, a group of 5 young boys exploring the rice fields near Kara, Japan, had an unforgettable encounter, not just with a UFO, but with something they actually managed to catch. What they found wasn't a traditional flying saucer. Instead, a small, glowing, humming object about the size of a wide-brimmed hat, no more than 6 inches across. The boys managed to photograph the object and even briefly held it. When they poured water into the vents, it reacted with a loud buzz like a swarm of cicadas, and glowing from within, through small openings, they could see inner parts that looked mechanical, wires, circuits, and components that suggested intelligent design. But it didn't behave like any ordinary machine. The object appeared to vanish at will, slip through space itself. No matter how secure the trap, it wouldn't stay put.
Holy moly, praise Jesus, man, because we got some crazy footage right now that is filmed apparently over the South Downs in the UK of an orb-shaped thing, right? So this was filmed on a P1000 Nikon camera with a 3000mm focal length lens, which is why you can see the zoom so well right now, okay? Look at this. Apparently this orb was floating there and just kind of doing its thing, right? There's a whole backstory, so I'm going to read this out to you, and you better strap in, mate, because this is going to be one for the books, right? Right, so OP says, 11th of February 2025, 2:30 AM at the South Downs National Park, the UK. I'll try and keep this short. On the 29th of January, I made a post about wanting to get 4K high quality footage of a UFO. I have the equipment and met with an individual who said they could summon one of these things, and since my original post, we have been trying to plan a day which we could meet, which goes into the psionic stuff that Jacob Bob has talked about, okay? Crazy. Right, I arrived at the location, which was just outside of South Downs National Park, which is the area of 1,627 square kilometres, or 628 square miles, found in southern England, right? That's kind of where I live, and it's a beautiful place. Stretches for 140 kilometres, 87 miles through the countries of Hampshire, West Sussex and East Sussex. Weather was optimal and clear, but there was 10 miles per hour wind, okay? I recorded the object over a 20-minute period on both my Nikon P1000 and my iPhone, which is he has a second perspective on his iPhone that will just pop up here in a moment for you, right? Because it's absolutely incredible. For comparison, I captured some footage of the object on my iPhone 14 Pro Max to demonstrate that the phone quality footage is and will always be bad when it comes to this type of footage we need moving forward. I was surprised at just how much different the object looked on my iPhone. Knowing exactly where the object was is hard to guess. I estimated it around 400 meters, 1,422 feet away from where I was filming. The cars that could be seen going by in the background look close, but after looking at Google Earth, they are about 1,080 meters, 3,543 feet from where I was filming. So the object is somewhere between those two spots. I also was filming from the top of the hill that was on an incline, so our eye line was above most of the trees below us, right? And again, look at the comparison of the footage here between the Nikon P1000 and the iPhone. Bloody incredible, mate! While zooming in, I noticed a strange blur field around the object, and I struggled to get a constant shot where the object was to be clear. It was like it would find the object, and then immediately after, the ring of blur could be seen around it. And that does follow suit with lots of sightings we've seen where people can't focus on these friggin' objects, bro. I haven't seen this before while using this camera. I only ever seen it when trying to photograph something light and circular in a dark setting, but that always has been on a telescope. It could be nothing, but it's something that I noticed. Multiple times in the video, the object can be seen dropping and then moving upwards side to side. There was a 10 miles per hour wind, so if the object was a piece of debris or something caught in the upwind, it should have travelled 2.17 miles in a 10 mile per hour wind over 13 minutes. That's a mad calculation, bruv. Alright. We were there, I'd say, for around 30 minutes and filmed the object for around 20 minutes in total, and it could be seen in the same spot and definitely didn't move a few miles while we were there. As I was switching cameras, the object moved upwards and diagonal, and within 20 seconds it was gone. I do have photographs, and the object was left in the air, shot off, and moved further into the distance. I also took around 90 photos of the object on my P1000, some of which are very clear. I plan on making a full video of everything that was captured, right? So we are waiting for more information. There you go, guys. You let me know what you think. This is absolutely insane, and this much detail, bro. Come on.
Do lado, viu?
Meu Deus.
Tá
sentido. Tá mais perto agora.
A luz do galpão, olha.
Tá tremendo. Escuta o som.
Não sei o que
Não, mas de novo, lá em cima. Tá vindo.
Tá vindo do lado, viu?
Meu Deus.
Tá
sentido. Tá mais perto agora.
A luz do galpão, olha.
Tá tremendo. Escuta o som.
Não sei o que
Não, mas de novo, lá em cima. Tá vindo.
Tá vindo do lado, viu?
Meu Deus.
sentido.
Tá mais perto agora.
A luz do galpão, olha.
Tá tremendo. Escuta o som.
Não sei o que
Não, mas de novo, lá em cima. Tá vindo.
Tá vindo do lado, viu?
Meu Deus.
sentido.
Tá mais perto agora.
A luz do galpão, olha.
Tá tremendo. Escuta o som.
Não sei o que
Não, mas de novo, lá em cima. Tá vindo.
Tá vindo do lado, viu?
Meu Deus.
sentido.
Tá mais perto agora.
A luz do galpão, olha.
Tá tremendo. Escuta o som.
Não sei,
Caramba, de
querido.
novo, lá em cima. Tá vindo.
Tá vindo do lado, viu?
Meu Deus,
Tá
tem
bom.
sentido. Tá mais perto agora.
A luz do galpão, olha.
Tá tremendo. Escuta o som.
Não sei,
Caramba, de
querido.
novo, lá em cima. Tá vindo.
What the? See, there's another one up here.
Olha isso.
I'm going to take your souls. We have the power. We decide what's hot. If we don't go, nobody goes. If we don't support, nobody supports. We control what's cool. We control what's hot. We control what your kids listen to, what they dance to. We control what's in video games. We control how they wear their pants, sag their pants. We control everything.
So we only been scratching the surface this entire time? Archaeologists are constantly finding new chambers in the pyramids that go far deeper than the outer ground level of the base. And they still haven't been able to find the bottom yet, so exactly how deep does it go? Tall obelisks like these have been found all over ancient Egypt, each with a pyramid-shaped tip. And the pointy Egyptian pyramids look much different than all the other step-shaped pyramids all around the world, so I wonder why. Almost every other ancient structure was initially buried when we first found it, like the Sphinx, Göbekli Tepe, and Chichen Itza to name a few. Why did we just assume the pyramids were fully showing at first sight? Just like we discovered with the Easter Island statues, the majority of their height is buried underground, with some important text inscribed on the side. Nowhere is it written how the pyramids were built, so it could very well be written on the buried sides here. Now I know, these buried obelisks would have been mother crackin' enormous, far bigger than what any humans would have been able to move. Let's take a second to compare to this national monument in Wyoming called the Devil's Tower. Very old rock and the only one of its size in the area, thought to be a natural formation. On closer look, it looks oddly like a petrified tree stump with many more like it around the world, which if that's the case leads to the question, who cut it down? Maybe the same giants who built these massive obelisks, which possibly got buried after worldwide floods only for the tips to be rediscovered thousands of years later by the Egyptians. Even historic texts such as the Bible refer to a race of giants called the Nephilim, and ancient drawings everywhere all too often show depictions of much larger beings. The evidence of these giants is found all across the world, from the pyramids in Devil's Tower to these giant steps in Peru, the plain of Jars in Laos, Easter Island, Nam Madol in Micronesia, this giant knife found underwater near the coast of Madagascar. All ancient discoveries which were either far too big to be practical or even physically moved by ancient humans. Once is an anomaly, twice is suspicious, but this many times all over the world, I think there's something we don't know here.
What this cop did to criminals was pure evil. In 1961, a cop named Thierry Wilshire was widely trusted in the small town of Granville, Ohio. Locals called him the kindest man on the force, and on the surface, he seemed to deserve the praise. But away from public view, Thierry was hiding something terrifying. None of the suspects he detained ever appeared in a jail cell. One evening, a young rookie officer named Harry Thompson noticed something unusual. Thierry never filed arrest reports. He laughed it off, saying paperwork was pointless. Still, Harry couldn't ignore the feeling that something was deeply wrong. Driven by suspicion, Harry followed Thierry one night after he pulled over an intoxicated driver. Instead of heading toward the station, Thierry turned his patrol car toward the woods. From a distance, Harry watched as Thierry pulled the handcuffed man from the vehicle and led him toward an old, deserted cabin. Inside, shelves lined the walls. On them sat dozens of glass containers, each labeled with a name. Thierry picked one up. Moments later, the man's screams echoed through the cabin as Thierry stuffed him inside and sealed it shut. He placed the container back on the shelf, calm and methodical. Terrified, Harry stepped back, but snapped a twig. Thierry stopped. Slowly, he turned toward the sound. With a relaxed smile, he said, "I like to keep them close, so they don't cause trouble. A container. A day keeps crime away." Harry managed to escape and reported everything. But when officers arrived at the cabin, Thierry was gone. They opened the containers. What they found inside left them speechless.
Updates from the scans, the satellite scans that were done on the pyramids of Giza that revealed that there's these giant shafts, these spiral shafts going down to these undiscovered chambers and rooms underneath the pyramids of Egypt. Now, when I first reported on this, I got a lot of pushback and a lot of hate, people saying, that science doesn't work, this was a hoax, it wasn't real. Well, they've done the testing on a secure facility where they know what it looks like underground, and guess what? It was absolutely accurate. And that's not all. We've got even more news. There's been 4 other companies that have stepped up. This one, ICI, that does satellite scanning and ground penetration and all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of these, there's 4 companies. Some of them are government contractors, and they followed up. They repeated the exact same study, and guess what? They have the same results. They were able to confirm that the initial scans that were done underneath the pyramids of Giza were accurate. So all those people that were pushing back, saying this isn't real, this is a total hoax, you can all take your shoe or your foot and put it right in your mouth because you were wrong. These other companies have these advanced satellite systems, and what they can do is they can take the imaging of the earth underneath the pyramids or over the pyramids there, and guess what? The earth is all vibrating, and with that vibration they can tell the difference between the solid structures underground and the loose sediment. This is another one, Capella Space, and they work with NASA and these other agencies, including the United States.
What were they?
So, gun to my head, I think they were used to generate energy. There's been research that certain wavelengths broadcast at the Great Pyramid will amplify that electromagnetic energy. But the pyramid power plant theory is a lot like Tesla's technology. The Giza Plateau, there is an aquifer under there. That water would create this resonant frequency, and they found copper rods that go down there. Those would create sound, F-sharp chords specifically. Like when you blow across a bottle, it goes, whoo. It's called a Helmholtz resonator. This chamber is built out of rose granite, densely made of quartz. And when you compress quartz, it creates electricity. It's called piezoelectricity. So how do we get it out? The interior is made out of a certain type of limestone, and that's called a dielectric. And if you had a gold capstone on top, you can force that energy up through the capstone and up into the ionosphere. And that's what Nikola Tesla was trying to do. What did they do with it? My guess is the Egyptians just found it. It's supposed to be the tomb for Khufu, but no mummy's ever been found.
There's a theory, if your phone ever rings in the middle of nowhere, with zero service, don't answer it. People say the call isn't coming from this world. There's a terrifying phenomenon hikers have been reporting for years, and it's called a no-service call. And once you hear what it sounds like, you'll never go into the woods alone again. It usually happens miles away from civilization. Deep trails, mountains, national forests, no towers, no signals. Most phones don't even light up out there. But then, out of nowhere, the phone starts ringing. Not a notification, not a glitch, a full-length ringtone. One hiker in Montana said his phone rang 3 times in a row. When he answered it, all he heard was breathing. Slow, deliberate, matched to his own. He covered the microphone. The breathing continued. It wasn't an echo. It wasn't him. It was something listening. But the strangest case come from a man hiking in Alaska. His phone rang with a caller ID he didn't recognize. He answered it and heard himself screaming, not from the past, not from the future, because minutes later he slipped on the ice and fell exactly the way the scream sounded. Some believe the wilderness distorts reality, thins it out, allowing signals from parallel timelines to bleed into ours. But the darkest theory, the call isn't trying to scare you, it's trying to stop you, to warn you, because something on the trail ahead isn't supposed to see you yet. Stay weird.
This is the true story of the American town called Gravity Fall that vanished because of a real occult book. During the summer of 1967, 2 siblings named Mark and Dina Pines were sent to stay with their great-uncle, Harold Pines, in a small forest town in Oregon, officially known as Gravity Fall. At the time, Gravity Fall was a real town. It had a sheriff's office, a school, a lumber mill, and a population of just under 900 people. 3 weeks after arriving, Mark discovered a loose floorboard beneath his uncle's cabin. Under it was a leather-bound book, wrapped in chains and animal hide. The pages contained symbols, rituals, and detailed sketches of creatures that did not match any known species. When Harold saw the book, his hands began to shake. Then he whispered they were never supposed to be let out. Over the next several days, people in Gravity Fall began reporting impossible things. Shadows that moved without bodies, footprints that ended in midair, voices coming from the trees, calling residents by name. On the final night of summer, a violent storm hit the region. All phone lines went dead. Every road leading into Gravity Fall collapsed. When authorities reached the area 2 days later, the town was gone. Not damaged, not flooded, gone. No buildings, no vehicles, no bodies, only untouched forest. Mark and Dina were found 40 miles away on a highway, confused, dehydrated, and unable to remember the town, the book, or their uncle. Within 1 year, Gravity Fall no longer appeared on any official American map, and the book has never been recovered.
So, did you know about the Denver airport? It has some really strange theories. Even though Denver already had a good airport downtown, yet they decided to build a new one and spent $2 billion more than expected. And it also took 2 extra years to finish.
Really, is it?
Yes, and the airport has a huge underground area with 5 floors. Some people think it could be a secret doomsday shelter for important people, but officials say it's just an unused baggage area. Inside, there are creepy paintings that show scenes of destruction and monsters. There's also a big blue horse statue with glowing red eyes called Lucifer. Sadly, the artist died when a piece of the statue fell on him during construction, but they still finished it. Another weird story is that the airport might have 2 secret runways used by the government. Plus, there's a time capsule buried in 1994 that can't be opened until 2094. And when the time came, some people think this might explain all the mysteries behind this airport. What are your thoughts about it? It's just a conspiracy or might be real?